It is time for another TikTok video. Now, if you are new to these videos, I just find a bunch of TikToks about books and react to them. And sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're a little more serious. And I have a nice mix of the two for you today. So let's get started. This is my last one of 2024. Hopefully not my last one ever. But for as long as we have TikTok, I'm gonna keep making these videos because you guys seem to enjoy them. So let's go.
This is not the proper way to break the spine of a book.
As someone who never gave a fuck about a spine, I just really love making y'all mad because honestly, I will.
Okay, so this is basically, there was a whole thing over there where people were talking about how you correctly break the spine of a book where you like do in little sections or whatever. And so this girl was basically just making fun of that and being like, who the hell cares? I'm just gonna throw my book across the room. Again, that was kind of silly, but I just found it to be funny because sometimes, guys, we are a little too serious about our books. And, like, especially considering that, I mean, I'm not going to say none of us, but most of us on these platforms sharing our love of books are not like rare book collectors where you have to be super delicate and careful with everything. Like, I get you know, you want to take care of your stuff, but like, if you break the spine of a paperback you got at Barnes & Noble for $20, it's like not that serious. Moving on.
The latest BookTok drama involves 5 guys in matching shirts and beards trying to grift $12 million to $40 million in 1 year from hardworking, aspiring authors. The group is called Spines. They got all this venture capital money with the hope of publishing in quotation marks 8,000 books in 1 year, offering only AI copy edits, AI covers, and AI metadata for the grand price of $1,500 to $5,000 per book. And to show how little that these guys know about publishing, they were quoted in this article as saying, most people publish a book not because they want to make a living from that, it's their hobby. Either they must be very, very famous and get a traditional publishing deal, or they will have to invest tens of thousands of dollars. We're going to bring books to the masses. If you have $5,000 to invest in your book, do you have any idea the quality developmental editor and beautiful cover you can get made by humans? Please help share the story widely so unsuspecting authors do not get duped and give thousands of dollars to these tech bros. What do you think of that?
So that video I actually saved like over a month ago, so it's a little bit, you know, I'm sure there's been an update since then, but I am just like shocked at the audacity of these venture capitalist tech bros that think that this is going to work out and think that this is like some novel concept that, you know, oh, I can't believe no one's done this before. Well, here's why. Nobody wants to read a book written by a robot. And yes, you could say this isn't really a book written by a robot, but if it's being copy edited by AI, it's probably not going to read real smoothly like it had a human editor. I feel that this is just taking advantage of and scamming authors who are wanting to get their books out there and are just maybe not sure how to do it. There are so many resources for aspiring authors, so please, if you are one of them, look for those. Don't fall for something like this. $5,000 is an incredibly huge amount of money to invest into a book that you don't need to. I have never personally, you know, written a book or tried to write a book, so like I don't know the specifics, but this woman seems like she knows how this all works, and like I know how, you know, you commission an artist to design a cover for you, you hire an editor, and I think you can probably do all of that for less than $5,000, and you also get to say that you didn't have AI involved in any way, and you don't have to give your money to these gross tech bros. I don't think that this is going to end well for them because there's nothing to me that seems appealing about like seeing a company that puts out 8,000 books a year. All I'm seeing of that is this is trash. None of these books are worth reading. And I would hate for an author to get involved in a company like this and have that be a lot of people's kind of default to, yeah, no, I'm not reading that because of the fact that it was published by this company. Hopefully that makes sense, but like, you know, I wouldn't read a book solely based on the fact that it came from a company like this or this specific company. And so for an author to put all their money into that and then have that be how people feel about it, it's sad. And like, I would feel pretty bad for authors getting tricked like that into doing this. So authors, please do your research and don't fall for something like this. And like, sure, there are some good things that AI does. There, you know, is definitely like plus sides, but like, keep it out of arts. And if I can find any sort of like update, if any exists for that, I will definitely put it in a future video. So this next one has music under it, but it's just like a screen with text. So it says, my toxic trait is that I don't consider people who only read smutty romance books as readers, or at least I don't want to be associated with them. Smut is simply written porn. It is erotica. There's nothing wrong with reading erotica, but when that's all you are consuming, you cannot claim to be a book person. Diversifying your books helps to engage with communities you aren't a part of. A majority of these popular smut books are also so poorly written. I have read multiple fan fictions I would pay to have a bound copy of. They were so well written I could tattoo quotes on my body, but many of these smut books appear to be written by 12-year-olds. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, you're right, that is a toxic trait. That is a judgmental trait. And, you know, I know some of you are probably going to comment and say that me doing these videos at all is judgmental, but, like, to be honest, I don't really care what anyone else reads. I agree with her in the sense that you should be diversifying your reading in all ways. Don't just read one type of thing all the time, and you're not going to change my mind on that one. I think we all need to be reading different sorts of things by authors from different walks of life, etc. I don't think we should all just be reading the exact same stuff over and over. And while I personally don't really read this, and I don't think that I would have a lot to talk about book-wise with someone who only reads really smutty, spicy books, who am I to judge if they're book people? You know, it's just, I also wouldn't really have anything to talk about with someone who only reads classics or only reads like Russian literature or whatever. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's just not that serious. And like, I hate the gatekeeping that exists in this book world of like, you're not less of a reader because someone else who doesn't read what you read claims to be a reader. I know, I already can, like, see the comments where people are like, but in your last video. No, in my last video, nothing. I feel like I always have the same sentiments. But anyways, we'll see those in a minute.
For all the people who are really concerned about how many books somebody read in a year, oh, you read 200 books, how'd you do that? Why don't you start paying attention to how you spend your time? Yes, they're reading all the time. They don't come home and watch TV. They read. They listen to audiobooks while they're on the way to work, when they're on the train. And this isn't even about me. I've read like almost 75 books this year. That was my goal. We're very close. God willing, we'll make it. Some people just read fast. Why don't you get your nose out of everybody's business? You know, oh, they're cheating. They're not actually reading. Did you cut corners when you were running the mile in high school? If you did, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it!
Yes. Oh, the sun came out. Hold on. Okay, we're back. So, yeah, all of this. I feel like I've talked this to death, but we're going to do it one more time. I have been told on so many occasions that, like, it's weird that I read so many books. This year, I think I'm right at now 168, 168. And I probably, within the next 2 days, will finish a couple books that will get me to a nice solid 170 for the year. And my goal was 120, and last year I read 203, I think. So, like, I'm fine with it. It is what it is. I read when I want to read. And I think she makes such good points about how, like, people that are saying, like, oh, there's no way you really read that much, and there's no way you can even be absorbing this, whatever. Just, like, again, look at what your hobbies are. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of baseball. I watch some sports. And I watch my Hallmark movies at Christmas time. And I honestly don't really watch a ton of TV outside of that. Like, other than reruns of my favorite shows that are just, like, in the background. So I spend a lot of my free time reading. I listen to audiobooks when I'm doing just about everything. I listen to music, but generally, if I'm in the car, which I don't have a car, so I'm not in the car very much. I don't even know why I said that. When I'm walking around places, when I am doing chores in my house, when I'm taking a shower, when I'm putting on makeup, a lot of times I'm listening to an audiobook, which really helps me get through them quickly. And I think because I listen to audiobooks so much, and I generally listen to them at least 2 times speed, I get through them really fast. And I guess people think that that doesn't count or is cheating in some way, but it doesn't matter. So I really just, the part that I feel like focusing on in that video is like, look at how you spend your time. Don't act like I'm like lying for some reason if you spend all your time on your phone or playing video games or watching TV. Absolutely nothing wrong with doing those things. It's just a different choice. So for you to judge my choices or this woman's choices, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Let's all just leave each other alone. And one more thing. I feel like it's totally fine when people are like shamey slash judgmental about people that read a lot of books. But if I was to be like, oh my gosh, you only read whatever, you only read 20 books this year, I would be looked at as such a bitch. So let's just keep that in mind, guys. We all just spend our time how we choose to spend our time. And it doesn't have to be the same. Okay, that one like really doesn't have much to do with books, but I just I thought it was funny. I was like, literally while I'm watching this for the first time, I'm like, oh, that's weird because look at all those people behind her. Like, this is so embarrassing. And then we turn around and literally that's the video. So again, that one was stupid and silly, but I thought it was funny and I watched it several times and laughed. So I hope it gave you a laugh too.
I hate trigger warnings being on the first few pages of a book.
Turn the page, you weirdo.
Truly, turn the page, you weirdo. This video, the original one, kind of, it got really popular and then it got deleted. So I think there was more to the video than just that, but that was pretty much the sentiment of the whole thing. First of all, trigger warnings can be incredibly helpful to people and can help them avoid like really having to cope with some, you know, revisiting trauma that they are trying to heal from. I mean, there's certain things people just don't like to read about. And so there's literally nothing to be like lost and a lot to be gained from adding trigger warnings to your book. If you think that they're like spoilers or you just don't want to read them, like you literally don't have to. You do not. You can just turn the page. Like you don't have to actually stop and read the page. And if, you know, you're afraid that if you catch a glimpse, you might ruin it, like hand it to your friend and say like, can you get this to the correct page for me to start? Or here's an idea. Open the book to a random page and then flip from like the middle of the book towards the front so you don't even have to like see that page. You know, all good ideas. I've worked hard on collecting these for you so you have options. But this is just silly. Like, if you can stop someone from having to deal with something harder, why would you not want that? Like, it blows my mind. But a lot of things in this day and age blow my mind that have to do with, like, you know, being sensitive to the needs of others. So, yeah, just turn the page, you weirdo.
We listen, but we don't judge. Book edition. I only read dialogue. I only read the words inside the quotation marks. You see how astonished you look? You see how confuzzled you look? You feel? There's people like that. There's readers like that who just read the dialogue, even the books without the quotation marks. But hey, we listen, but we don't judge.
Okay, I mean, he's clearly referring to those two girls in, like, my very first video of TikTok reactions, that said that they only read the dialogue, and, you know, we're just throwing it back a little. I still think it's funny, I still think it's weird, and I know that, like, to this day, I'm still getting comments on that video I posted, like, 2 months ago, saying, like, she didn't mean she only reads the dialogue. She meant she just doesn't like the way it's formatted. But, like, that is not what I got from that video. I will link it and I will put it to the right section of the video if you want to go back and watch that, because I'm just saying, I still get these comments and I still disagree and think that she is referencing that she doesn't like blocks of text. It has nothing to do with the formatting or spacing on the page or the margins. She just doesn't like reading non-dialogue. Unless we ask her, we won't actually ever know, so that's what I get from what she's saying. But we love a parody.
The gardeners have planted white roses when I specifically asked for red.
You could always paint the roses red.
What an odd thing to say.
Alright guys, you know where I'm going with this one. DNF books. I am the #1 DNF fan of all time. Why would you read a book if you're not enjoying it? There's nothing saying you have to finish every book you start. And I know that a lot of people have just like completion complexes sort of, but you don't have to. We can move past it. You can get through it because to me, life's just too short to spend reading books that we don't like. I mean, hopefully there's the majority of you that don't have an incredibly long backlog of books you own and haven't read yet, but a lot of us do have that problem. And so for me, I have literally zero problem picking up a book, reading a few like if I read a few chapters and I'm like, I just am not getting it. This is not doing it for me. Just put it down. Just just go get a different book. And again, like I understand some people have issues with that, or like say you don't have access to another book immediately, that can be hard, and I guess in that situation I might still read it depending on how bad it is, but just I hate seeing people who are clearly miserable continuing on with the thing that's making them miserable when they don't have to. This isn't a school assignment. If you're reading for pleasure, then you should read for pleasure. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, I have a question for BookTok. In general, do you feel like audiobooks enhance or harm your reading experience? So I have to be honest, audiobooks actually got me out of a really long reading slump. And I mean like years. I have not read a book for fun or for pleasure in years at this point. And, I'm a teacher, all that is whatever. But I find now that I'm reading so much, I switch between audiobooks and physical book copies pretty frequently, like all day. I'm switching back and forth. And I'm noticing myself getting stopped in my tracks when I hear a character have an accent that I would have never expected them to. Or when a character is delivering a monologue, or any dialogue actually for that instance, and the characters say certain sentences with different tones, or sarcasm, or sincerity where I wasn't expecting it to be. And it just, I guess I think the point I'm making is that there's sometimes when the audiobook version of some of these books that I'm reading does not match to what I was imagining while I was physically reading the book copy. So I don't know, I was just curious if everybody else experiences what I'm experiencing, where sometimes the audiobook does not match up to how you were imagining the characters and basically the entire book actually when you were reading the physical copy of the book. And yeah, does this harm or enhance one's reading experience? I'm really curious about what everybody thinks.
So I feel that it can do both. I think it can be definitely tricky when you've started with one to switch to the other. Particularly, I guess it would really only be if you are switching from physically reading it to listening to it, because you start to get an idea of certain things, and then to have someone else's interpretation be so different can be like, I don't know, what she's talking about, where you're like, I don't like this. So I personally, in general, I guess, when you're not switching back and forth, think that it can really go either way, because I've started books physically and like find my mind wandering a little bit if it's like, a lot of descriptions, a lot of non-dialogue, whatever, and I feel like for that kind of book, I tend to do better when I'm listening to an audiobook. And I know what you're gonna say, and you're gonna be like, well, you're just letting your mind wander then while someone's reading it to you. And like, maybe, I guess, a little bit, but like, I do this stupid little game where I paint by numbers on my phone. I mean, obviously I'm not painting, but you know what I'm saying. And I sit there and I listen to my audiobook, and I do this every night while I'm waiting to get sleepy in bed, and I feel like that's like my best audiobook listening time, and I don't zone out. I am listening. I am doing something mindless while I listen, and I think it can just really depend on the book. Some books I've started on listening to the audiobook and I'm like, oh, I don't like this voice, I don't like this or that, I'm gonna read the physical book. Sometimes I've DNF'd it completely because I'm not that excited about it to begin with, or I'm just like, meh. Sometimes it's an audiobook that maybe like I got from the library or whatever, and I thought, okay, we'll give it a shot, and I am not super into the story and the audiobook narrator's bothering me for whatever reason. I just put the whole thing down. And actually, I'm getting ready to film the second half of my DNFs for 2024 video, and like there's definitely some on there that I'm like, yeah, I DNF'd this because I didn't like the narrator and I didn't have a copy of the book and I didn't feel like getting one. So, there's a lot of different ways that an audiobook or whatever format you're reading can affect your reading. And so like, I understand what she's saying and I am inclined to agree, but again, I feel like I don't often like switch back and forth between different formats.
I am absolutely mentally, spiritually, physically tired. It's just exhausting. So definitely a 2 martini night.
Okay, so I'm very excited about this one because I'm actually like timely with this because this is a whole situation that happened yesterday as I'm filming this, and I'm like, I did it. I did something that wasn't 3 months late. So there's, I guess, I don't think they're officially sanctioned, but a lot of authors, I guess, put their books at like $0 or really, really cheap for a day on Amazon. And they call it like Stuff Your Kindle event, where you can just like download all of these books for free or like for pennies. And, you know, it's a cool way to get your books out there into people's hands. And I'm like 99% sure that this is not like sanctioned by Amazon in any way, because otherwise this is really stupid. But anyways, so yesterday they had one of these days, and so people are out here downloading 150, 200 ebooks like within a short span of time. And so a lot of people ended up locked out of their Amazon accounts, and that includes their Audible accounts, and some people said like they got their Amazon Prime canceled. And I don't ever think in my wildest dreams I would be out here defending Amazon, but I'm so sorry, guys. That's what's gonna happen, I think, when you are doing something with that much frequency, like in such a short period of time, that Amazon's gonna close it or hold it, freeze it, whatever, for fraud, because in any other situation, that's what you would want them to do. If someone was purchasing like 100 of one thing within like an hour, it looks suspicious. And so I'm sure that someone at Amazon or whatever, like some sort of like bot system, flags these things and is like, you know what, until we figure this out, we're gonna freeze your account. And so again, like, Amazon's the devil. I'm not here to defend them. But I think that like the people that are like screaming and raging and acting like this is the end of the world, like, guys, this would happen at any corporation, at any company that has a good fraud prevention system going on. And like Amazon is getting these accounts back up and running. So it's not like they're freezing them forever, they're closing them forever. To me, it makes perfect sense why this happened. And like, it's annoying for sure, and it sucks to like basically be kicked out of your account and have to like wait for them to unlock it. But I get it. When I was engaged, my husband and I worked on a cruise ship at the time, and so we bought our wedding bands in the Caribbean somewhere. I can't remember where. St. Thomas? Maybe? I don't know. But clearly we were spending a significant amount of money in another country, and I remember spending so much time on the phone with my bank trying to get them to unlock my card so we could make this purchase. And it was a whole thing. But at the end of the day, like, I would rather them do that than have my credit card be used for some crazy purchases, and I'm the one that has to like find it out later because I'm missing money. So Amazon sucks, but guys, this is not why Amazon sucks. All right, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this edition of BookTok stuff that I talk about. I don't know. I really need to come up with a cute name for this all. If you got one, let me know in the comments. Love to know your opinions on any of these TikToks. And of course, if you have any that you would like to send me to react to, please do so. My email address is in my bio. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would. And I will see you in the next one, and have a very happy new year. And I look forward to what 2025 brings us. Bye!